holding my camera at arm's length. I don't know how long I'll be able to hold it up, but I'll try to get through this. It is December 17th, and I have a lot of books to outline. I'm going to try to get through all of them today, and I would like to have a chance to run some errands when I'm done, but I don't know how well that's going to go. My plant is attacking my head here. Yesterday I did an in-person event. I met up with a bunch of other authors to see if we could meet some people, sell some books. It was an interesting experience, but not the most successful for me. I ended up selling 3 books. So not like an amazing event, but it was also like during the day on a Tuesday, so I don't know how much you can expect. This month I finally finished fulfillment for my Kickstarter. It is 100% shipped. I'm really excited about that and really looking forward to the next project. I still need to come back and explore some of what I did, but I'm just going to kind of roll it into what I'm doing for the next one because I need to start preparing for that. This is a really busy time of year, so I decided to take it off from writing, and I'm just setting myself up for success next year. I'm going to hopefully write and publish 2 books next year, and I'm going to try to get those outlined today. One of them should be pretty easy because I've already made a lot of notes for it, and the other one is really just vibes, so that outline is probably one that's going to evolve a lot once I get to the actual writing. And one of them is, a hypothetical project that I'm going to try to write later in the year but not publish until 2027. So a lot of today is going to be me sitting at my kitchen table with note paper and index cards, just trying to make sense of these 3 stories, at least enough that I can start writing them. And I would have set up to record this in the kitchen, but the dishwasher is running and it's kind of loud. So I'm gonna get started and then I will check in. Okay, so sorry for dishwasher noises, I know it's bad. Now you see why I was recording in the front room. But I filled out my page of notes for the Guardians story, which this is going to be my multi-author series project. And it's going to be so short, it's only going to be 35,000 words, like that's the absolute max. So it may end up being a little bit shorter than that even. My goal is kind of 30K because then if I end up running long, it's not going to be a problem. So because this one is so short, I don't think I'm going to break it down onto index cards. I went ahead and I grabbed my laptop and I'm going to open that up and I'm just going to start typing the outline and then see if I can break it down into chapters, knowing that my chapters are usually roughly around 3,000 words each. So if I can get this worked into, 10 or 11 chapters, that's probably going to be like the limit for my word count. The story as a whole does not need to be very big because it's going to be so short. It actually reminds me a lot of when I was writing the West King's Heist novellas. I feel like it's going to have kind of like that structure where there's like a little bit of a mystery that unravels throughout the course of the story. But the outline for those novellas was not super robust either, so I don't know, just kind of like a nostalgic throwback for me for stuff that I was writing, 5 years ago. It's interesting to be revisiting like that pacing and that structure. So yeah, typing time and then the hard work starts because then I have to start figuring out the story that is only vibes right now. I have to come up with an actual plot. Okay, so it's 11 a.m. now. I've been at this for like an hour. I have the first book totally outlined. So Project Guardians is ready for me to start writing. I feel pretty good about this outline overall, actually. I feel like it came together really nicely and it flows pretty well, and some of the things that I wasn't sure about how they were going to fit together kind of clicked into place as I was writing the outline. Whether or not I stay on the outline when I'm writing it is a problem for another day. I am making myself some instant noodles right now. They're over there heating up, or whatever noodles do. And I am going to start working on the next book, which is going to be The Beast and the Bard. It is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but also mixed with something else. And this is the one that right now I just have like loose vibes of like the two things that I want to combine and a few tiny elements that I want to use. And I'm not sure what I'm doing with this yet, so the very first thing I'm going to do is open up Wikipedia and grab the synopsis of the original fairy tale, and I am just going to start writing over the top of it with the ideas that I have to see if I can kind of make something come together. And that's probably going to be the weirdest way I have ever written an outline, but if it works, it works. And fairy tales are public domain, it's fine. But we'll just see how long this takes me. Okay, so it is now 11:57, and this is my daughter's birthday banner in the background, if you're wondering what the ears are. I just finished the outline for the second book, so The Beast and the Bard is ready to go. And considering I didn't know what I wanted to do with that one when I went and grabbed the synopsis off of Wikipedia, that really took a life of its own, and it's going to be an interesting story. And there's a lot of stuff that popped up like as I was going, just naturally, ideas flowing together. It's going to be an interesting project to work on. But now I am to one that I thought would be easier to figure out. I really want to sit down and start working on an outline for the fourth Artisan Magic book. And I have characters in mind for it. I have an overall story idea. And now that I'm sitting down here and trying to write it down so that I can put it into an outline, none of it actually fits together. So I think I'm not going to be able to outline this one today. I'm probably going to need to let this one cook a little bit. If nothing else, I need to spend the next few hours brainstorming so that I have something to write down. And maybe that'll get me going. It's like right now I don't even have enough to start. And since this one is not a retelling in any way, shape, or form, there's nothing I can do but rely on my own mind to come up with some good ideas at some point here. So I think I am going to take my little break to go shopping. I've already eaten my lunch. I just have a few little last minute Christmas gifts that I want to grab, and then I also need to double check and see if I need to pick up anything for my daughter's school Christmas party. So that's a good place for me to pause. If nothing else, I have both projects that I'm going to be publishing in 2026 outlined and ready to write. So I will grab my shoes and off we go. So yesterday did not end quite the way I had planned, so I never got back to my outlining, but I just finished warming up some lunch for myself. I have some leftover homemade beef ramen. And then I'm going to sit down and start outlining. I have a story now after sitting on it for a little while. And now I just have to sit down and get it on paper. And I also now have a title for the project, which is pretty exciting. And I'm not going to share it quite yet. I think I'm going to wait until I have a cover ready for it. Or at the very least until I don't have, several projects on my plate there's no sense in announcing the one that will not be released for like a whole year. But I'm feeling pretty good about where this went, so I'm going to eat and then I am going to sit down with notebook paper before my workday is over. Great news! I've got a bag of snacks back there for my daughter's party tomorrow, but I also have an entire page of outline, and this is the most important plot bits for the whole book, and I'm pretty happy with this. I'm pretty excited about it. I don't think some of the plot points are quite developed enough yet for me to start breaking it down on index cards, so I think I might wait on doing that until it's actually time to sit down and start writing this, because that'll give me time to think through how I want to develop those different scenes and plot beats and all that. This is a really good foundation, and this outline is actually, this is enough to start the writing. The first couple lines are the whole setup for the book, so once I start writing that, it should start coming together a little bit better, and that's a good time for me to sit down and outline everything on the index cards. But I'm not ready for that, since this is still, I have 2 projects that I need to finish before I can even think about this. So for now, I'm going to grab my laptop and I'm going to type this up, and that's going to give me the 3 outlines that I needed for my big goal of having everything ready for me to write in 2026. Everything always needs a little bit more development. My outlines, the very first iteration of them before I break it down onto index cards, it's always a little bit sparse. And this is usually what it looks like. And then as each of these important plot points develops, it's like it's 1 plot point per line almost. Very few of these are 2 lines. And this is the farthest out that I have ever outlined anything. There have been times where I'm doing a series and I'll outline like a brief overview of the most important aspects of the story that I want to capture. But for like a whole book, this is the farthest out I've ever outlined anything. And it's kind of interesting to sit here and reflect on my outlining process, especially because so much of the fleshing out of this story isn't going to happen until I actually sit down and start putting myself into the mood to write it. So it's kind of important for me to save that, because that's going to be a really useful tool for getting me into the mindset that I need to write this book, getting me excited to write this book. Because if I start plotting out every single index card, then I am going to want to start writing it right now, and I can't do that. I need to work on Project Guardians first, or maybe The Beast and the Bard. The Beast and the Bard comes first, but I've thought about doing Guardians as my first writing project, just like a thought that I've had over the past day or so, because if I do Guardians first, I'll have more time to get feedback from the other authors in the multi-author series as part of the development process. So giving myself more time to make sure it fits with their goals for the series seems like a good idea. This is my first time doing a multi-author series, so I don't know how involved they are going to want to be. But giving myself the space to make necessary changes to that project seems relatively wise, especially since it's going to be so short. I think I should be able to give myself a span of like 2 to 3 weeks in January and do nothing but write, and that will finish that book. But that means I can go ahead and mark off my outlining from my year-end wrap-up to-do list. I got my hero's journal back out. I didn't end up finishing using this when I was writing Spectrum Legacy, just because everything went so badly with that project. So I only really got through the first month of it, and I'm going to be using this at the beginning of 2026 for the first 2 months so that I can, really enjoy this writing journal. But I've got 2 days left in the first month of the planner, and that coincides nicely with today and tomorrow being my last work days. So I'm going to use those, and then I am not going to use a planner at all for like the very end of December. We're just going to be very, very go with the flow, and I'm kind of looking forward to that little bit of rest before I dive into the next project. So now I'm going to clean off the table real quick, grab my laptop, and type up a copy of these notes. And now it's all typed up and the outline for book 4 is done. The rough outline anyway. I'll definitely come back and flesh it out more when it's time to start writing that project later in 2026. But I'm pretty happy with how it's come together, and it's going to gather up a lot of the overarching plot threads that I established through books 1, 2, and 3 in the series. And it's going to wrap everything up and solve a couple of unsolved mysteries. My husband called me while I was filming and I can't remember what I was saying. At least these outlines are done. I feel like the outlining process is one of the least interesting parts of a writing project to share, because I can't really say anything about the outline or I'm going to give away the entire story, and I don't want to do that, especially when I don't know if things are going to be changing after I actually start the writing process, because usually there are some small things that do change. What? I'm in the kitchen. Kitty. But yeah, I think I've got myself set up fairly well now, so if you're doing anything special to set yourself up for writing success in 2026, I would love to hear what it is. I've really enjoyed hearing about people's writing plans for the coming year. But I'm out of work time now, so I'm gonna call it a day. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.